Okay.
Okay, call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming on this beautiful summer evening. Consent agenda. Recommended action is approve the items below, which are included in the consent agenda. 6A, minutes from the July 16th meeting. 7E, long-term teaching staff assignment. And 8A, special education. If everybody's okay with this 3 items, may I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Thank you, Martha. Second?
Yes.
You, Dan. Any discussion? If not, please vote. Okay, 7-4-0 against, the motion passes. We will skip over number 2, which is the good of the cause, and go right to reports to the board, unless anybody here on the board would like to speak as a non-board member. Okay, reports to the board. Audit committee, Dan represented the board's audit committee. We met with Tom Telling in the last part of July, I believe. Standard practice to become part of the annual audit process. Dan will give us a summary of that meeting.
I met with Tom and Samantha, and Karen Meister was here. Tom and Samantha were just getting started on doing the audit, so what they had looked at so far, they said was a good transition in the business office, you know, between Bibi and Leonard leaving and going to Betsy and Dana, so that was good to hear, and look forward to their report in October.
Any questions? Did they have an estimated time when they were going to finish up? No?
No.
Okay.
They have a date they have to have it finished by.
I believe so.
I think it's October 15th.
And they'll present at the...
The second board meeting, I think they come.
Okay. On next item is the school law conference. July 23rd, I attended the Nez Perce Law Conference in Latham. An interesting day with lawyers. Present company excluded, but fine group of individuals. You have 5 attachments. There are 6 presentations, and presentation number 2 did not have an outline, but if you'd like the actual PowerPoint presentation, just let me know. I've got just a quick, just show you the topics that we covered that day. Sees it before I do.
Law conference, PowerPoint.
There it is,
Right there.
right there. So, I won't read these, you can certainly read them on your own, but so this was the opening slide, what we learned the past year and putting into practice. The first presentation was protecting digital student records and responding to data breaches, which was a rather in-depth discussion on the legalities of handling student records. They got really deep into what is a student record and what is not, and so on and so forth. And Interesting enough, shortly after this, our EMR at the hospital was breached by actually the parent company. Ransomware invaded it, and so they shut down, and so this sort of hit home as to what some of the things we went over. So it's you can just read through this if you'd like. I just put down what the highlights were. APPR, that got the response that I expected. It's the final frontier, and Aaron, the presenter, said it's no way is it the final frontier. It's probably just the beginning. They're hoping it goes away, but it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. So they just went over the history of it, recapping the education law, and then went over the future of APPR, what are the anticipated changes. New laws and regulations. I've been to this conference before, and I forgot how much fun this is. They go through all the cases, not all, but all the pertinent cases that have been settled over the past year that have lasting results in the educational system. These are just some stats that I found amazing. The Democratic-led legislature passed 935 bills this year, compared to 641 in 2018 and 606 in 2017. So they're a busy group. These are some of the bills that are pending out there. BOCES superintendent cap, school building surveys, and so on and so forth. You can see there's a lot of them. There's 22 that are yet to be, that have been passed, yet to be delivered to Cuomo. A majority of those are at his directive, so they think that those are going to pass right through. So, and this is just a sampling of what's out there. 6 o'clock opening polls, Karen, I thought of you.
Oh.
So there's just a lot out there. The next one was, this was the new court cases. This is the one I was thinking of. Just some of the new ones. It was just as I had back there, it's just a rapid review of multiple court cases that were settled in the last year. And if you'd like the PowerPoints again, feel free. They have the cases and the outcomes and that type of thing. This is the mental health and substance abuse policy, how it is changing. Interestingly enough, first thing that came out was that alcohol abuse is in fact considered a mental illness where drug abuse is not, which I found very strange and backwards. But so we went over this in some depth as far as who qualifies and how they qualify and how school districts handle these. One of my favorite ones was a teacher came to school intoxicated. This was not her first time. And so the principal met with her and she wouldn't leave, so the superintendent attempted to have her leave and she wouldn't. And finally she agreed, got in her car. They called the police because she was driving out of she was arrested for DWI. She was subsequently let go from the district, of which she won a court case and was back teaching just because she went immediately to rehab and the union didn't feel that they gave her adequate opportunity to correct her actions. So these are just reasonable accommodations. That was one. Conduct and performance standards, discipline and discharge. Conducting board meetings in full compliance with parliamentary procedures. If any of you have seen Jay speak, he can make any topic interesting, and of which he did. And so he suggested that everybody purchase our Robert's Rules of Orders, the newly revised version, so mine should be here any day now.
Yes.
So he does find that it is useful and for school districts in any open meeting. So went over FOIL, quorums, good and poor debates, motions, resolutions. I'll beat that to death, but interestingly so. Executive sessions, and that's it. So if you do want to see those slides, let me know. If you get a chance to go to the law course, it's the conference, it is quite interesting. Seems like a long day, but it really flies by. So, any questions on that?
Thank you, that was great.
If not, Colleen went as our legislative liaison to the board, went to visit with Representative Lee Stefanik, and she'll give a summary on how that went.
So that was my first experience being invited to this, and it was actually really interesting. There were 6 of us from our region that were invited. I was not able to make the pre-meeting where we were to meet with the representative from NYSBA that was basically going to go over essentially a script which we were to follow when we met with Ms. Stefanik. So I was a little taken aback by that, so I didn't end up making the pre-meeting. So I got to Ms. Stefanik's office a little early, and there was another gentleman there as well. She ended up pulling us into her office early because her other meeting had ended. So we had about 10 or 15 minutes with her, the 2 of us by ourselves, waiting for the other group to arrive, and it was really to our advantage. So we didn't have the script in front of us, so I brought up a few ideas, and so did the other gentleman that I was with. So the things that I brought up, even though some of these are not necessarily directed by federal or state monies, she's federal, I still brought them up. And one of the topics I brought up was universal pre-K. Our district has the benefit of being one of the most heavily funded pre-K programs, full-day program. But there's always that question in this category, how long will this be funded? So I brought that to her attention and asked for increased federal support for full funding for pre-K. She was very willing to listen. I brought up the community eligibility program that provides a private lunch to all students, and just discussed with her that 43% of our children fall into that free and reduced category, and is there anything that she could lobby to adjust the threshold so that our district might qualify for that program. And then lastly, and I found this really interesting, Roger and I had talked a little bit before I had gone down there, but it's the McKinney-Vento Act, which is an unfunded federal mandate that we have to enroll, transport, or support like homeless students. And it impacted our transportation program last year just for 1 or 2 students. We were like $27,000 in the hole. And obviously, we're going to do it, we want to do it, but there's no federal funding for that type of mandate. And my question to her is, why isn't there federal monies to support local districts? Because if we had 4 or 5 children that we had to transport, that could easily be $100,000 hit on the transportation program. So it was a great opportunity. She was very willing to listen to us, whether or not she's able to do anything, but it was a great experience just to be included in it, and I would love to go do it again. And again, I think it was a great benefit that we snuck in under the radar, so to say, before the rest of the group joined us, so it was a good opportunity. But there you have it.
Does she have a scribe with her? Or is she?
Yes,
Okay.
there was a, I forget his name, but he was with her through the whole meeting. But she was very, very regimented, very by the clock. She had a full schedule, and it was really nice that she fit us in. It was only I think there were 3 days' notice that we were given that she had this opening in her schedule. So, and it was fun to be part of the process. She, stayed afterwards and answered other questions after everyone left, and I don't know, it was a good experience. I would do it again.
Good choices of priorities to mention without having a script. You picked good ones.
Well, the script didn't include any of these things. They had their federal, and they were all really good points, but I don't necessarily think all of them pertain to our district, and I kind of felt like that's why I was going. And so, given that little opportunity to sneak in there, that was great.
Thanks for going.
Yeah, it was good.
Hopefully NISBA doesn't blacklist you.
I know, I hopefully they're not watching, this now. And then we just went shopping on the way home, so it was good.
You know Lisa there?
No,
Oh.
Kelsey went with me.
Any questions for Colleen? Thank you very much for doing that.
You're welcome.
Superintendent's report.
Yeah, these are terrific presentations, and they really represent, the enthusiasm you all bring to this, but also the time that you're willing to commit. So thanks for stepping forward. And I'm going to mention one more activity that transpired last month. Martha, Karen, and I attended the NISBA Area 6 meeting in Malone last month. It was, forget the date, 27th or so. So that meeting is a kind of a informal networking and informational opportunity for area school board members and administrators. And that includes people from St. Lawrence County, Clinton County, as well as Franklin County and Essex County. So, they're people from far and wide. We had a nice dinner. We also had some good conversation with the folks from Chattagay, administrators and board member. And then we listened to a presentation by, I think, the same person that you attended with, Belinda Heckler,
Yeah.
who's NISBA's governmental relations representative. And it was interesting because she was really advocating for districts to step forward and to commit to advocacy. And she pointed out the legislative advocacy position. A lot of boards do not appoint people to that, but we do, and you are that person. So that was a really nice, I think, confirmation that we're doing the right thing. Thanks Karen and thanks Martha for attending. It was a nice evening. And then something that I know that you'll all be are planning to participate in is the board retreat. So we've been so that's been underway. The planning for that's been underway. Our NISBA facilitator is going to be a woman named Sherry Keller. Rick and I spoke with her today. Karen and Rick and I spoke with her today to provide her with any additional information that she would benefit from in order to plan this retreat. And she also sent out the survey, I believe, to everybody in the board. And she did, comments on things. She gathered some information from the surveys in order to, organize some of the topics that she thought were more important to our board. So that is taking place on the 29th. That's a Thursday, I believe, right?
Exactly.
8 to noon. With coffee and something in the morning, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So we'll have the coffee for you. Another meeting that took place in July, Rick and Dan and I met with ORDA CEO Mike Pratt and a few members of the ORDA team. This was to follow up on prior conversations we had about the ORDA parking lot, or the parking lot proposal that they're proposing to include our lot in it, of course. And we brought that up before. This was a follow-up meeting. We also this time included our school district attorney, Bill Kissel. And Bill is key for this because there are many legal guidelines for organizations like ORDA utilizing our property. And so Bill raised some very important points, including that we have to adhere to New York State education law when it comes to this topic, which requires that the district receive fair market value in exchange for any use of our property, and to make sure that that was part of the discussion. But also part of the discussion from our board to them was to recognize that we have a constituency. Our constituency is our school district and the families of our kids, and that any decision that our board makes to participate in the project, should it go forward, would need to be with the understanding that our constituency may have perspective, may wish to give us feedback, and that the board decision will be based on what's in the best interest of the district. We want to make sure that was there. We also wanted to see, how the planning was moving forward. They did share with us just a little bit in terms of the plans. You may have seen those if you read the newspaper article that followed the Audit board meeting. And so there were some architectural drawings that were possible designs for all aspects of the Orta renovation, not just parking garage. Parking garage is a small part of that. The Orta board meeting, which we also attended, Karen and Rick and I attended, that followed, was Orta's follow-up to their discussion, their internal discussions, and the board approved them moving forward on this planning process. So that's where the newspaper articles came from. We will continue to keep you informed about any discussions that we have with Orta, and just please know that when or if we reach a certain point, the board will be involved and make some decisions about which direction we want to go. And then something totally unrelated to the garage proposal, but that does involve the upper parking lot, is something that happened a week and a half ago. We had a diesel oil spill in the upper lot. It was on the Saturday after Ironman. So Ironman was on Sunday. It was on that following Saturday. And what happened was a truck was driving up Cummings Road and then turned into the Orta lot and then attempted to go from the Orta lot to our lot. And you might know that there is there's not a gap, but there's like a peak with the pavement there. And the diesel truck hit its diesel tank on that pavement, and it caused a gash and spilled 60 or 70 gallons of diesel into our parking lot. So that's the bad news. The good news is that the Lake Placid Fire Department and the DEC were right on it. And so was Orta, by the way. Jay Harvey's just a tremendous partner for us. And he's the one who actually contacted me about it. So by the time I got there, the fire department had things under control. The DEC arrived and had contacted a cleanup company, and they organized that cleanup for later in the day. So much of that permeated soil, permeated with diesel oil, was being removed. Our insurance company's been informed, and actually I haven't checked it today whether or not the piles in the back corner have been taken away yet, but that's where they piled it up. So
Are there cones around it?
yes, that's
I
right.
think it was taken away.
They were taken away.
Yeah, I think
They were
so.
supposed to be. But anyway, I just want to mention that to you, and just say thanks to our local, the support we get from Orta, the police, the fire department, and the DEC in these kinds of matters. They really were right on it and took care of things. So.
Should we make a gesture of gratitude as a board?
Of course you could, sure.
Just a
Sure.
thought.
Do you want to send a card, or do you just want to make a public statement?
Whatever's easiest, but conveys appreciation.
I think it's easiest to do just a public statement. I think it's somewhat go unrecognized.
For your live streaming.
Yeah, so.
Hashtag, I'll make sure to hashtag out to the NYDEC. Thanks,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay, great.
Plug it over here.
So
we'll put together a card.
Thanks. Are you gonna just sign it, February? Do you want Roger to sign as the board, or do you want me to get one and you can all sign it? Do you want to do one?
Yeah, let's do it. Sure.
And then just to finish up, I wanted to kind of bring you up to date on where we are in terms of moving towards the start of the school year. So summer school classes are ending this week. August Regents exams are being administered today in this room and tomorrow. So our summer programs are coming to an end right now, and so we're now transitioning to the start of the next school year. So here's what you can expect. On Monday, that's this coming Monday, August 19th, we have new teacher orientation, new staff orientation, really, new faculty and staff orientation. And that's going to be a large group this year, so that's exciting as well. That's really a great chance for us to bring all of our new people together and start to talk about yes, their roles and their responsibilities, but really the kind of direction and goals and visions that we have as a district. And it's really a nice day, so I'm looking forward to it. So that's Monday. Also Monday, kids who are playing sports start. So varsity and JV sports begin next Monday, with the exception of cross country, which starts the next day. Modified sports starts the following week, Monday the 26th. And then Tuesday the 27th is Locker Day here at the middle and high school. Always a popular event, because kids get to come and get their schedules, get their locker combinations, and really start to take a look at what their school year is going to look like. So that's a great day. Teachers return after Labor Day, so that would be Tuesday, September 3rd, and Wednesday, September 4th. And then on Thursday, September 5th, that's the big day when the kids arrive and the school year really, truly begins. So it's a little over 3 weeks away. So we're getting close.
Wow.
And that's everything I have.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Rob. Moving on to information for the board. There are several attachments, 4 I believe. The claims audit, which is a quarterly report. Governmental accounting standards statement number 75, annual report. A letter from Rose Heisen, who was a Lake Placid High School class of 2007 graduate, and her request to engage our district in her research project, her doctoral research project, I should say. Hopefully you've taken the opportunity to read her letter. We'll be putting in a proposal for and voting on that request next meeting. So, and finally, a letter from Sarah Allen, also action to be taken at the August 20th meeting. So, any questions, comments on those items?
I just think it's wonderful that Rose wants to use the district students for her research. I think it's great.
It's a rare opportunity for us.
Absolutely, I think it's wonderful.
Okay, capital project update. At this time, we've set aside for a interval progress report and updates on the capital project. As was reported, projects seem to be on track, but there are challenges with timeliness of certain approvals, not unlike the email I sent out just prior to Ironman when there was the asbestos issue in the front of the building. So thank you for your patience with that. And there are 3 attachments if you've had the opportunity to look through, and then 1 additional that was added that's on the screen. So.
And then was there some at the elementary school or something?
Yeah, so I can review all this
Oh,
for
okay.
you. And I do apologize that Dana would apologize if he's had a personal issue he had to take care of for the entire week, so he's not able to be here tonight. And he does oversee our capital project very well. He's very active with it. But what I wanted to do was to bring you up to date as to where we are, and also share with you some of the recent items that have come up that were unexpected or somewhat of a surprise. And you've heard about some and not others, because some of this is changing today, some of this is new information. And I think it's a really important reminder that when we're involved in this kind of effort, this capital project, $19.1 million capital project, things are going to change quickly. And so I hope you're going to be okay with that. We're going to do our best to keep you informed, keep you up to date, and you know, we do have restrictions on what, you know, I can approve for the school district to do when we have additional costs involved that require board action. You know, we're going to try and, you know, adhere to that as much as we can. As Rick's email pointed out, sometimes we're just pressed for time, and that makes things difficult and complicated. And so I just think we have to be ready, and be ready to be aware and at times flexible in what's going on. But you can also be active in terms of, you know, raising questions and maybe waving flags every once in a while if we're moving too quickly or if there are things going on that we don't understand. So I'm going to share with you some things right now, and we're already surprising you tonight, because we do have an additional action item that we're proposing that the board may want to take action on tonight because of the pressing nature of some of these events. So I'm going to walk you through this chart, and hopefully this will make things somewhat clear. We'll see. So we're going to start with the top two, which is all good news. We started with this summer. We started with the two projects at the top, and both have been completed. And those were, one is at the elementary schools, an asbestos abatement project to eliminate all the asbestos associated with the bathroom renovations. That was one of the big projects, one of the projects at the elementary school. That was done. It was done on time. It was done successfully. No additional costs. Good news. The next one, the middle and high school ramp. As you know, we're replacing the ramp. The ramp has been removed. That's the good news. But the calendar has not called yet for us to take the next step, which is to replace the ramp. So that part is in process. But the removal of the ramp happened fast and successfully. If anything, the contractor was disappointed that he couldn't keep on going. But unfortunately, we have multiple contractors and subcontractors involved, and not all of them. Since the calendar says that we have a specific date for restarting that, we're sticking with the calendar because we have to. But so far, good news there, right? The third one.
Just before you,
Yes.
will that be finished before school starts?
It'll be finished sometime in September, we expect. Yeah. Okay, the third one is not expected and comes with additional costs. So if you just follow the chart here, right? So most of the rest of these issues are at the middle high school. The elementary school right now is fairly predictable. The middle high school, the old building, is where we know there's a lot of asbestos that when it's exposed needs to be addressed. And we had some of that planned, but not all of it was. And so here's the first one, the crawl space. The crawl space is in the basement, underneath all the classrooms. It's not in any kind of student area. Part of our project has been to remove the asbestos from the crawl space. We've always known it's been there. It's been identified. It's been blocked off all this time. But because we're putting in a new heating system involving all the pipes, this all had to be addressed for this project. So the crew went in to remove all of the asbestos-laden soil, and unfortunately, it did not remove all the asbestos. They were still testing positive. So they had to change the plan, and the new plan, which is summarized here, is to encapsulate what is still there. What that means is covering it, securing it, coating it. It's a large area, and they've given us the price. The first price was a lot higher than that. This is what we think is the best price, and this is, consulting with our architects, our engineers, consulting with our construction manager and people. and going to a different subcontractor. The additional cost is going to be $139,763 in order to do that. And they want to start right away in order to get this hopefully finished by the start of the school year. So they are eager to get going. They're waiting for the go-ahead on that one. The second one is the limestone project. Now, you know about the limestone project. It's been with us for a couple of years. This was not part of the original capital project. It's been, we are folding in the financing of that into the capital project, which is a good thing. But we have had all kinds of complications finishing this up. You already know that. The good news at the top is that all the hazardous material that was falling has been removed and it's no longer dangerous. So that's good news. But we ran into a number of things, some of which you already heard about. The next one on the list, additional stone reconstruction due to structural issues. This is not news to you. You've heard this. That number has already been out there. The only thing you didn't do is vote on that. And it is in excess of $30,000. So our rules are up to $15,000, Dana Wood can approve it with a signature. Up to 30, Roger Catania and Dana Wood working together can approve it with a signature. Over 30, the board is supposed to approve. Okay, so we would ask for board approval on that one, along with the one on the top. Needs board approval to move forward. The third line, so I'm walking you through lines, and I do apologize. It can be somewhat tedious, but these are important and you have to know because you're going to be asked to vote on some of these. The third and fourth lines do not require board approval, but they are very important. The front entrance cleanup, this was the one you heard about. Actually, this is kind of good news, I guess, because we needed to get it done in one day before Ironman. We got it done. We thought it was going to cost around $30,000. That's why Rick sent out that email informing everybody that we're kind of pressed for time. It didn't cost that much, $14,850. So that's good news, right? Always nice when there's a little silver lining in that class. But what followed, of course, was all new complications, including the next line, asbestos dust removed from tools and floor areas, right? So, again, as long as we have the asbestos monitors here, they let us know when there's risky situations. And all of this stirred up new trouble, including having to address all the different tools that had been in the front of the building with the limestone project all along. They found asbestos there, and there was a new requirement to remove all, where they could reuse the tools, remove them at all, to reuse, to have the asbestos dust removed. That cost $16,790.
So it ended up costing $30,000,
So,
basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So then we have two more that have not been addressed, and both would require board approval. And again, they're waiting. They had to wait to find out about the asbestos. We heard about this on Monday, so today we got you this information. In order to move ahead to finish the limestone project, there are two significant additional costs. One is that large stone that was cut out of there that you can see, everybody can see, isn't there anymore. In order to replace that will cost $32,333.80. That's the price we were given today on that. The next one is everything else. So everything else, and we were out there Friday, no, maybe it was actually a week before, so it was Thursday before last. We were out there assessing everything, including asbestos, but also including all these other pieces. And in order to repair all these additional holes, all these mortar joints, there's 3 of the little square dentals that are still missing that have not been replaced, that were not a part of all that other stuff. And then to put on a breathable water repellent veneer, which again was not part of the original project, that would be an additional $46,200. So, you know, we could, of course, not do either of these. We would be left with the chunk missing out of the stone and all the holes and the scars that are up there. So, you know, that's an option too. But in order to address both of them, the board would need to vote to approve both of those. Okay, I'm moving on. Any questions on the limestone project?
Yeah, but just quickly, how's that
Yeah.
funded? Because it's not funded through the capital project, is it?
Well, it wasn't at first,
Yeah.
but and this is all credit to Dana Wood
Yeah.
for figuring out how to do this. With the extra space after our original contracts were bid and approved, with the extra space in the capital project, we figured out a way to fold that in. So the cost was originally $121,160. That's on that second column. All these now are in addition to that. I didn't do the math.
That's
So
a
total $250,000, right? Yeah, right. Okay. A lot more than the $30,000 we thought when the whole thing started 2 years ago. Right. All right, but that's where we are. Next line. All of these are new. Next line, all middle high school. Middle high school, new asbestos abatement concern windowsills. Talking about outside windowsills. So again, because we have asbestos monitors working for us right now in place, they have found more concerns than we were aware of, including paint that could potentially flake off from that coats the concrete windowsills outside of a number of windows in the middle and high school. We do not know what it will cost to remove that. They haven't given us a price on that yet, but that would need to be done. And we think that's going to be in excess of $30,000. So that's a new concern. Another new concern is room 113. Room 113, if you were here a few years ago, is where Tammy Casey taught geometry. If you were here last year, Mary Kate Graham taught geometry and other subjects in there. Room 113, our custodians were removing carpet, which is what they do every summer. And the asbestos monitor walked by and said, wait a second. Underneath that carpet is some sealant holding the carpet. That was exposed. Tested it, found positive. So now we're removing the asbestos positive sealant from room 113. We think that's going to be less than $10,000. It's already being done. Third one on that list of the last 4 short ones. New vermiculite asbestos removal. Handrail on the first floor, on the ramp going from along the side of the auditorium towards the last 3 classrooms on the new wing right here. Handrail came out. It was not any of our construction people. This was just normal kind of wear and tear. Some material came out. Turned out it was vermiculite. Vermiculite is always assumed to be positive for asbestos, and you're not allowed to question that. So we had to remove that. Thought that was going to be a small number, less than, we thought it was going to be between 5, somewhere under $10,000, $16,070. Got that price about an hour and a half ago. And the last one on the list is in that crawl space that's way up top, one of the first ones I mentioned. They found one new concern, which was a pipe that had not been uncovered before. It was uncovered, found asbestos insulation, it's fairly large. They can't remove it, so they're going to have to seal it off. And so again, we expect that will be a little less than $5,000. So this is my update to you on the capital project. Capital project is finding all of these complications right now at the middle and high school. And we hope this will not be ongoing for 2 years. We hope this is, that we're addressing some of these things. We're getting some positive responses from our asbestos monitor that hopefully this is subsiding and we're going to be able to move forward with a lot of this. But in the meantime, there's a lot of this we have to take care of. So we added, Karen and I today, added a proposed motion that the board can vote on, should it choose to approve the changes, change orders. We don't have change orders ready. We don't have documents ready. But if the board chooses, the board could approve the amounts. And that would be the $139,763, it'd be the $32,333.80, it'd be the $46,200, and then it would be the TBD in excess of $30,000. And because we don't have that price yet, we would ask that the board approve it tentatively, but that Rick would have once the final price comes in, that we could share that with Rick, and Rick could provide the final approval on that amount.
And all of these estimates are coming from the other company that you went to after you received the higher price? Earlier in your.
So actually, it's a little bit of a mix, right?
Okay.
This is the limestone project is one contractor and subcontractor. The Crawlspace Asbestos is Bass Hatfield with the subcontractor NRC, but they actually want to change the subcontractor because they think NRC is too expensive.
Okay.
And so they want to go with another subcontractor here, which can get us a better price. So there is some mixture.
Okay.
Now, if I were you, I'd be saying, where do we get this money from, right? And so on the bottom of this page, I've given you a ballpark about where this money comes from. By ballpark, this is actually how we built the original budget. And while the budget itself for all of our projects was very specific as to cost, and all those are calculated in the bids and the contracts, there were two areas that were quite large and quite broad. One's called incidentals, the other's called contingency. Okay? If you ask me, they mean the same thing, but they are reflecting two different things, right? The incidentals is 20% of the total bond proposed of 19.1, so it's about $3.8 million. That's where we're paying for all these other costs. The architects and engineers, that's a significant cost. The attorneys, and then with other associated costs, and we can use some of that for some of these additional. That's the incidentals. The contingency was set aside specifically for these unknown events that would crop up. And that's about $1.3 million. So that's really for all the overruns. So I don't have a great worksheet for you. Like I said, we're learning about this day by day, but I think we're doing okay in terms of working within the contingency and the incidentals right now. We would like to see this slow down. We're doing everything we can to identify ways we can move ahead without running into these kinds of problems. But I'm pretty certain we're going to be having these conversations again as we go ahead.
At some point, will the asbestos monitor start on the upper level and just wander through the school to make sure that there's not other areas when they conclude this project?
Well, the asbestos monitor, when he's here, does do that.
Okay.
But he's not supposed to just look for asbestos
Okay.
everywhere. He's
Okay.
supposed to really limit it to
Yeah.
those project areas. However,
Okay.
he's also not allowed to overlook things when he
Okay.
sees them. And there's also a representative of the Department of Labor who, so there's a lot of oversight here. The contractors and subcontractors are overseen by, in this case, the asbestos monitor, ambient. But the ambient asbestos monitor works for us, not for the contractors. The asbestos monitor is overseen by the Department of Labor, who drops in, and did 2 weeks ago while we were in the middle of water fest, right? So there is a lot of oversight, and this is an old building,
Mm-hmm.
and there are unknowns that I'm sure
Yeah.
we're running.
Well, I think it's great that you have that money in the contingency budget to take care of these things.
So, yeah, I'm just looking at the numbers, and I understand how this all it's all new stuff, and we're finding out things. But my concern is that, we're at 17% of our contingency already, and we're 3 months into this. And I hate to get, halfway through this and find out that we've used it all up. There's no way to predict that.
No.
I know.
But you can't ignore this, you have
No,
to.
you can't ignore it,
You
I
have to.
realize. Yeah.
When we know what, the asbestos seems like that's the most expensive. When will that, it's just one, it's not the elementary school as much.
Correct. Yeah, it's much more prevalent in the middle and high school.
So the vermiculite cleanup, 16,000, what did they do?
Well,
Maybe it's a question for Dana, I don't
yeah,
know.
it's probably a better question for Dan. It's probably even a better question for our construction manager.
Mhm.
I don't have everything there, but it was as simple as the rail was off
Yeah.
and the vermiculite had fallen, but it took a number of days for them to clean the area and then reattach things the way. Why does it take them that much? I can't answer for you. But we could, and we can always invite our architects. So our architects are very active and on a daily basis involved in this. and our construction manager is as well. They're separate, but they all work together. So we can always invite them in to give you maybe a more of an inside view
Yeah.
of what's going
Because
on.
it's kind of like getting nibbled to death by a duck. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like a little bit here, a little bit there, when you start
That's
adding it up.
exactly how it
it's-
feels.
Yeah, it's just, that's a pretty big number already.
It's a huge number, but I think also it just corresponds with the nature of the work that they're doing. When you're dealing with asbestos, I've seen it over at the college over the years, and it's a huge process that they go through with the abatement process. I'm not surprised with the numbers.
Any other questions or comments about this?
Thank you.
So this will come up for vote at the end of our meeting. Okay, issues for discussion, move to the goals and objectives. What I took the liberty of doing and hopefully did accurately was take the Google document and move it to a Word document, which I could, well, it's in front of you. The bold are items that either are questioned through the comment section in Google Docs, and Karen is bringing up that now, or changes that were suggested. What I'd like to do is just go through this, see if people have input at this point, and then do we need to vote on this, Karen, to accept it?
At the next meeting,
At the
I
next
have
meeting.
it.
So we should, if we don't get through it tonight, I think sitting here and beating over it is a little cumbersome and difficult, but let's go through it and add what we can, and then if you'd like to go home and sleep on it, and you can forward me any additional changes, then I can put them in, and then we'll review it and then vote on it next meeting.
You want us to do this on the Word doc?
Whatever.
All right. I couldn't get into the Google Doc for some
Okay.
reason,
Yeah.
so I just printed it out and wrote it up.
Do you have the Word doc in?
I have both.
Okay.
I mean, I don't mind going on there if I can get some help getting on the Google Doc, because it's easier to.
Yeah. Or if there's just simple changes, you can just let me know where they are and what they are, but if it's a lot of them, then. So, goal number 1, students first and foremost. The first bullet there, I commented, nobody commented on this, so do we need this?
I think we do.
International students. Do we have a prediction on international students this year, Roger? Greater than last year?
Well,
I thought we were up to
less.
3.
We're up to 3? Not greater than last year.
Okay.
Last year was good.
Yes.
But Kara Atkinson's been working very hard to try and bring the rest in.
Okay.
It's the families.
Yeah.
So- Do we just leave that, continue to support development of the programs, or do we reword that? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think we should take it out. If you want to reword it,
Right.
that's fine.
Okay.
I think it's important.
It is. I'd like, as I commented in Google Docs, if we can have some way of objectifying these,
Yeah.
and not just making a statement.
Supporting metrics.
Correct. Like the next one, by way of presentations, discussion, expose students to different cultures and experience through at least 3 encounters. So what those encounters are probably presentations.
I have some student input on that.
Okay?
More languages, and other arts options, including things like dance, and maybe from different cultures as well. I don't know if that's even possible, but.
The assure continued support for resources for special education, again, a very important component, but I think we do a good job at this. I'm not sure if we need a specific goal. Remember, we do have the strategic plan, so taken the role and reworded this, but now that we're lucky to have our current CSE chair staying on, we can, so if nobody is opposed, if anyone is not opposed, we can remove the special ed one. No fewer than 5 presentations annually. Is that too robust? I think we get that anyway.
I think we get it anyway, don't we?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it would be nice if they were more spread out. It seems like they all come in the spring, the last month or two, and it'd be nice if we had them throughout the fall and spring.
Oh, we do
semester.
have them in the fall, right before Tom Telling does his thing. He
Yeah.
says, please don't have them before me. It's hard to follow.
Successfully negotiated win-win contract with both unions. I just put in, we need to define win-win.
I think I got language on that. Scroll down to, it's not really that magical, but.
I would expect nothing less.
A fair and reasonable agreement that was, what I said, prioritizes student achievement. Fair and
Where
reasonable.
do you want that at? Where it says win-win?
Win-win, or yeah, the definition of win-win.
Well, successfully negotiate a blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah,
that works too.
contract.
Then we
Fair-
have to define fair and reasonable.
Reasonable is legal.
Okay, so, okay, but
Yeah.
is there some precedent that says this is reasonable for this particular type of negotiation that we can refer to?
I mean, really, essentially, it would come down to, do we all feel it's fair and reasonable?
Okay, fair enough,
No,
sounds reasonable.
that's our standard, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
And why we're here, for the kids, so, students.
Great. Any others under student first and foremost that anyone can identify? Otherwise, under education, the first 3 we've, the first 2 we've accomplished, and those were special items. Number 3 was reworded below it, continue to monitor the lunch program. Any specifics? Should we put in we have a presentation, do we not, on nutrition?
We did last year, yes.
Okay.
I don't believe I don't believe we require it every year, but the board could ask for that every year, sure.
Let's see.
Should we include, should we continue to look at the possibility of free lunch for everyone if we do meet the criteria?
Yes.
That maybe should be part of our goal then. Because I think, if we can do that, and some other schools in the district or the region have done that, but I think West Portland was doing it.
Right,
So we can just add that as another bullet?
so that's a community eligibility
Or in
program.
addition to that, if you want. I think.
And then the stakeholders, who is that defined as? The
Students,
children?
The parents,
Okay.
the voters,
Okay.
and anybody who's got I think anybody who votes, and students, and teachers, and everybody. Right, I mean, is that fair?
I would think so. Roger, how close are we to qualifying for the free lunch for all? Like, is it based on, we have 47% of students, or?
No,
what
it's
is
a
it?
percentage of those who qualify through direct certification. So there's different ways to qualify. And so if you can get 40% who qualify through direct certification, then we would qualify, but we have not done that. And it has to just to do with the way families
Yeah.
qualify these programs.
What is the title of, is it Sean?
Sean Davis,
What's his title?
is Food Service Director and Wellness Coordinator.
So what I would recommend under continue to monitor, culminating with presentation from food service director. And then the one that Jeff brought up, if we could put a separate bullet under that for that, that'll work, Karen, so that it's not this long. And who would be responsible for that?
The monitoring.
Our liaison?
Well, actually, I mean, you get that data, I think, throughout the year, don't you? I mean, in terms of who would qualify and who doesn't,
Yeah.
for these.
We get the free reduced lunch data, we don't get the set data, we don't get that qualification until the spring.
Okay, so it would be, if we really wanted to do, we wouldn't know until the spring of this year, if we could qualify next year, so, but I guess just if we have to keep monitoring it,
Yeah.
cross that threshold.
So, again, just to objectify that or put some sort of metric on it.
Is that something we should be doing? I mean, if that opportunity arises?
I think so.
Okay.
I was kind of eager to, again, until I tried to get us qualified, I didn't know how, specific the numbers had to be.
Mhm.
And, but that was why I think we wanted to do it.
Have we ever been close? Do they tell you that?
Yeah, you get the numbers. We were actually in like the upper 20s of direct certification families. And you had to get to 40. So we weren't that close, because we could be close if some of the families are qualified, one of them is qualified. So it's fairly complicated.
And we're not relying on the families to provide us the information. We're getting the information because they're qualifying through social
Yeah.
services or
Correct.
TANF or something like
Yes.
that. So it's not because families aren't coming forth with information. Okay.
So can we complete that last goal with a presentation by the superintendent
Sure.
with the information that you get? So it's just pretty much just presenting the information. And then the final one, meet or exceed the 2018-19 school year. The wording is atrocious here, but in other words, meeting or exceeding the number of students that receive technical endorsements this year. So making sure that we maintain that number so that we meet the challenges of the tech sector.
I just have one other comment on this one, and it's the, not kind of crossed out ones, the fourth bullet down, to continue to observe opportunities and provide appropriate support, closing the opportunity gap in socioeconomic gradient.
Sorry.
I know we now provide free SATs for all kids, right?
Yes.
Should we be looking at the same thing for AP? Is that appropriate?
Yes, we've certainly talked about that.
Yeah.
AP does have kind of an automatic fee reduction. So we talked about finding a way to cover the rest.
Mhm.
And the EdOp fund has expressed an interest in helping to provide that extra amount. It's kind of a timing issue,
Yeah.
like you don't always know.
I mean, we've done it in the past, I think, probably, with the AP, or was that the SAT?
Did it with, well, we covered some bridge courses.
Okay.
The EdOp fund covered some bridge classes, and AP this year. So it's not that it isn't happening or hasn't happened.
Yeah, it's just not a
Comprehensive 100% isn't happening.
Right.
So that's the benefit of that SAT test date, which is a college board, program that the board is funding or the school district is funding.
Right.
And that's an automatic, everybody's covered, no questions asked. So
And that's really
the
had a
nice
big
piece
impact,
of that.
right? I mean,
That's when you accomplish the most.
Yeah.
It's not like you're singling one person.
Right.
Yeah.
There was a law which prevented school districts from paying for
Yeah.
college credit,
Yeah.
but that's one of the laws that's going to be
That's
signed.
one of the laws that we think is changing.
Right.
Yeah.
So then how did we pay for bridge courses? Was it through
So there was a
outside
hit and
fund?
miss based on, EdOp fund grants
Oh, right, so
were
outside
being
fund.
used to help kids who asked and
Yeah. Okay.
needed it.
So should that be part of our?
Yes, definitely. And as I put it, you need to make goal and measure related to this.
Sorry, I have one more. The next one down, the technical programming and meeting needs that are unique to our community. I know we've had this happen in the past where students complete all the Regents requirements by the end of their junior year, and then they do something like the New Visions program the senior year. I don't know if they could do it, is it just half the year that they do it, or can they do it the whole year?
New Visions would be 1 year.
One whole year,
Half
so-
day, 1 year.
Yeah.
Other programs are traditionally 2 years, although we've had students do just
Yeah.
1 year.
I was
or
just
2 years.
specifically the New Vision part, because that's kind of a sort of professional track for the most part.
Right.
Just a thought, I don't know if that's something we should put as a goal, but.
Yeah, I'd like to see more students in the division program, I think, especially in division health.
I don't think it
Had one-
costs the board anything to do it, this district anything to do it, it's just sort of kind of setting the, precedent or seeing that as a track that if kids could take, but as they start into high school, that you could, if you wanted to do that, do that as an educational track as well, as
Yeah.
one or the other.
And is the SWIPE program anything that we are interested in?
So SWIPE came in, the two people who organized the SWIPE program did come and give a presentation to the
Right.
board earlier this year. It's very promising, participation is not, there's not high here. And they had the ability to contrast our participation, student participation with Saranac Lake, and found that Saranac Lake participation was much higher. Our kids seemed to be pulled in many directions, and SWIPE, though there were kids who were interested, didn't become the go-to for all of them. So that's what they were working on this year, was to figure out how to have the impact they want to have and make the difference for kids, but promote that kind of participation.
So is it fair to put a goal in that we increase the number of participants in the SWIPE program?
Sure.
Do we have a number of which was baseline last year? No. I wonder if they have it.
It was low.
Okay.
I think there's a big sign up, right? So like most kids sign
lot
up,
of
but
kids signed up.
like it's
Yes.
dropped out of it, I wondered. Okay.
Do you think it's part of the Saranac Lake thing is the kids were more in nutrish over there as opposed to over here?
Well, that's possible.
Good idea.
I mean, I just wonder,
But I also think that our kids, the time that, SWIPE uses is a time that's used by a lot of other of our activities, and I just think our kids are juggling so much. It's a real issue with our students. I mean, that's a good thing, you want to be involved in all the activities that we have. You want to put together activities, and sports, and theater, and music, and you name it, robotics, right? All these things, great stuff. But they can't do it all sometimes, and that's something gives.
Jeff, you had commented on that, continue to observe opportunities. The next to last bullet.
Yeah, so that my comment was should we be looking at free AP as a goal? And figure out how to do that, whether it's through exterior funding or whether, something like we did with the SATs where we actually fund it out of our own budget, if that's possible. I don't know how much that costs actually, how many kids are taking AP courses, and I know you have the numbers, but it's probably not as big as the SAT is in terms of the
No,
cost.
it's not.
Anybody have anything else for that socioeconomic gradient, closing the gap? That's a real important one, so if
It
you
really
do
is.
come up with
I think we've
anything.
done a lot already. We're moving in the right direction, I should say. We've done a lot, there's a lot more we can do.
Community outreach, which is goal number 3, if we can move on. First two seem to have exhausted themselves. The third one, just continue to assess the need for new strategic plan. I think that's an ongoing. Do you think we should do that, or rest on the fact that it seems to be a solid plan? And I'm not sure how old is the strategic. I can remember 6 years.
It's fine, back away, yeah.
It's 5 years.
I don't know, but I thought we could take it out at this point. I mean, we're doing it this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
But then the strategic plan is a much more
More
involved.
comprehensive, sure.
But
I mean, I don't know, should we leave it in? It has to be done.
anybody have any opinions on that? Okay. Assess and alter communication method based upon student faculty. I think we've
Mhm.
Another ongoing thing, is that okay to take out of there?
Mhm.
Representing the board, attend a minimum of 4 meetings of other community organizations. Ideally, this would be completed by 4 or more board members. Again, showing our presence as board members at these different meetings. I know there are some questions on there on the Google Docs. But
I think 2 years ago was quite effective, and we
It was.
did it, and then last year we didn't do it as much.
I think I put a question in there, Rick. I asked, would it be beneficial if we talked about it and either, assigned it or volunteered and.
That's what we did the year before.
Yeah,
Everybody
because
went out.
it went the wayside. I
Yeah.
think if
Right.
we just say that we're doing it, and nobody says that I'm going to the November town board meeting, for example.
Mhm.
And I think it's very pertinent and important at this point with ORDA, what's going on, so it might be an automatic,
Mhm.
might be a slam dunk that it's done. I know I wanted to get to the town board meeting where ORDA presented, but wasn't able to. But, well, unfortunately, the town meets the same, except tonight, but generally meets the same
Yeah.
night we do, so that's a difficult one. But go ahead.
Should we tell you if we plan to go to one?
Sure.
Okay, and
Sure.
let you know?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go to the business association,
Okay.
there anyway,
It's just a presence and
Yeah.
introducing yourself, representing the school board that you're,
Okay.
with the town getting new members in November.
Mhm.
Let's see, consistency in presenting meeting minutes, I think we,
Good.
yeah. Explore the need to reactivate shared decision-making. Is that a fair one to actually operationalize? It is in our, isn't it
Hasn't
in
really
our,
gone anywhere, has it?
isn't it in our policies?
Is it still required?
It's in there someplace, yeah.
So,
Why don't we just leave it there?
so we'll leave it there, and if we want to revise the policy, so that,
I think what we did is we altered, and the shared decision-making committee was always supposed to sort of tackle specific things, and instead we created ad hoc committees.
Right.
That accomplished that. And those were very successful.
Can we just change it to that and just use ad hoc committees in lieu of the shared decision-making? Because that's what we're doing,
right.
right?
And then we just need to take a look at the policy and make sure.
Modify
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm good.
Did you get that, Karen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then complete minimum of 4 newspaper articles or other media presentations on current Board of Education topics. That can be done by myself or anybody else who would like to. I have a couple of thoughts and ideas now, and so it's just a matter of the timing. Do we still have a column in the Lake Placid News?
We do if we want it.
Okay.
So should we just set a month, like every other month, just
Sure.
do one and put the burden on someone to write it?
Yeah.
Not just you, I mean.
Right, yeah. So I'll add that every other month, assigning it.
You can do it as a lottery.
Or it can correlate with being at 80% of the meetings.
Yeah.
We're at that meeting.
Then you have to get the report.
Signed. Anything else on community outreach involvement, ideas, how we can be out there a little more?
I think our newsletter has really been great, and I think the website is a great tool. And those are the two things that I think I refer to more than anything as a parent.
Okay, moving on to leadership. First one, that was sort of a lead-in statement for the other bullets, but continue to monitor a plan, a communication strategy with the goal of creating an environment of security among students and parents. I think it's important that we have some sort of statement about security. I'm not real supportive of going to the length of, looking at the school resource officer again or anything like that, but we could put that into the Buildings and Grounds Committee.
Could we actually use that as one of the, as an article, for the board to the community and
Certainly.
Does that make sense to do that,
Yeah.
Roger?
Sure.
I mean, just, like we do.
I think most people don't know all the things that.
We do that meeting, but hardly anybody ever shows up at it.
Right.
We took the content, the public content, and just said, here, this is what it is. And then if people have questions, they can come to a meeting and ask them. And I think that would be I'd volunteer to write that.
Okay.
Once we have our meeting on security. That's pretty soon, right?
Yeah, have not yet put it on the calendar.
But it's sometime like
It's in-
before school starts, or?
No, it's usually after school
Or
starts.
just after, right?
Yeah.
I think last year there were 2 fire drills and then we had the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's like in September.
Okay. Next one is participate in educational opportunities. Suggestion I had is by way of participation in educational opportunities offered by NYSBA, at least 2 board members will be recognized by NYSBA University. Just shows that we did attend. Any comments on that? The next bullet, there's no way of measuring that.
Right, I think we should check it out.
We can. I'd like to sort of put a goal of attending 80% of the meetings.
Should we get a report card at the end of
Yes.
this?
Can you do that?
Attendance record.
Yeah, attendance record.
Give a-
Should do that.
Now, organizational chart has been posted. When appropriate, implement the recruitment planning process for blank. Keep, I think the principles we did. We should probably keep in superintendent. I'm not sure what, I'm not sure what this
I'm not sure what it means.
states.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think,
Yeah.
I'm not so sure it will change things.
correct.
Right.
So-
When needed,
When
the
we're
board
going
is going to
I think
implement
we're
the
gonna
recruitment
have to.
process, right?
And then there's a process that seems to work pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll remove that. Develop and implement an onboarding process for newly elected board members. Conduct a formal survey to allow constructive feedback regarding new high school principal. I'm not sure where that came.
What does the weeds
Yeah,
mean?
what
Well,
does that mean?
are we getting too far in the weeds with that one? Is that,
You get your feet tangled in the weeds when you
Think
should
so?
be.
Do you
When you
mean
should-
like it's,
is that beyond our scope? Should we be looking at that, or is that's the job
I
of the
think that's the
superintendent?
superintendent's.
right, it seems a
So-
little invasive for us.
Okay.
I got a comment from a student here that student reviews on teachers, which would be something that, I don't know if that's what, can you imagine how that would
Can of
go?
worms on that one,
That's really getting into the weeds.
yeah.
So conduct
I
a,
think there's value.
What?
I think there's value.
Yeah, I do too. Is that something, should that be a board goal, or?
No.
no, I don't think
I don't
that's.
think so
Yeah.
either. Okay, I will say I brought it up.
Board self-evaluation with 100% participation, addressing all areas of concern in open meeting by January of 2020. Does that date seem okay with everyone?
We did that already.
I think the policy states it's done earlier than that.
Okay,
So I'll just put a note here, check policy.
check policy.
Next thing should be independent.
Yeah. And it's, as I said, it needs work, but just, I know this has been, I've heard from a couple of individuals about bullying and blah, blah, blah. And I don't mean that negatively, but blah, blah, blah. But just what's going on in our schools. It goes deeper than people think. And then along comes Ms. Heisen.
Yeah.
So I think that's,
Mm.
She's gonna provide some depth.
sure.
Yeah.
What she's not gonna provide is, sort of a broad picture.
So would you consider her an independent resource?
I think so.
Is that accurate, the presence and depth of bullying? Probably not depth, but the presence of?
Why not depth?
I don't know if she's going in.
She's doing a doctoral research.
So hers, if you read that letter,
Yeah.
I'm
she's-
sorry, I haven't.
Yeah, it's a qualitative study, which means that she's going to really look very hard at the student perspective. But that's not for all 600 and
No.
change students, that's going to be for a handful of participating students. That's what I mean by depth as opposed to breadth.
Okay.
Yeah. And it'll mostly be in the middle and high school, mostly in the middle school. So it's a good, I don't know, it's a really great opportunity for us,
Yeah,
I think.
So we get like the results of that? I mean,
She said she'd be willing to do a
That would be-
presentation when she's done.
That would be a great thing to have.
Yeah.
Mm.
But read the letter, because you can see that, she does have she's a doctoral student, so she has a very focused courses, program of study that she's doing. And you can look at that, you can see, and so, what she learns will apply, I think, more broadly to us, but she is going to be studying some very specific questions. That's the way doctoral research works. So, no surprise, but we think it can benefit. I know, she and I talked about it at length, and I think it would be beneficial for us.
So I would propose putting in the potential depth of bullying, because I don't think she's going to identify specifics, but anything else? So if not, the technology, Roger came up with one for us here. What is Jason's official title? I should know.
District Technology Coordinator.
So he's not just for the elementary school then? He's-
Correct. So he's District Technology Coordinator and Elementary Computer Teacher.
Okay.
Okay. So, just put this down, presentation by District Technology Coordinator, updating the board on technology advances in the district, it would be correct. Is that,
Maybe even instead of technology advances, I might suggest, maybe some operational, but also some goals and vision. So it's the broad perspective as well as the specific.
So along those lines, so I know we're upgrading a lot of technology, our
Yeah.
Chromebooks in particular, and there's been, and through my associates with Science Olympiad and some other things, a lot of the stuff in the Science Wing is like 2007 vintage. I mean, stuff is like ancient, and there's more RAM on the iPhone 4 than there is on some of these computers. And the kids are using their iPhones more than they're using a lot of the computers. One of the comments I got, and this was back in the spring, was, would it be possible to look at other manufacturers' Chromebooks other than Dell, because there's a feeling out there that there's better pricing and better performance on some of the other Chromebooks. I know, I'm not saying change Chromebook, obviously that's the direction where we're going, but there might be a better, technology base for that, for that solution. And the
That's
other,
legit, yes.
yeah, the other thing that kind of came up, because I know we use a lot of stuff, like online stuff for especially in the math and science and tech, the STEM areas, like Delta Math and IXL, and I don't know if we use IXL anymore. But there's some other ones that were brought in. One was, there's a thing called Education Perfect, which is a subscription that has a lot of this stuff, embedded in it, and including language and math and other things that a couple of kids are using. And I was looking at it, it's amazing. I don't know if that's at a teacher level, but it's something that, the board wants to include in our technology goals, to continue to look at, other, or not us doing it, but
Sure.
to have
But to
that,
promote that.
like looking forward kind of thing to the teachers and the students. And even, getting students involved in even a student survey, like what kind of Chromebook would you prefer? If you could design the perfect, not that they would get it, but if they could give us feedback, or what kind of, like, online tools do you use in addition to what the school provides? Because I know a lot of kids do, use other tools, and
Yeah.
and maybe we could do something like that, where we get more student involvement.
Mm-hmm.
Because, we're adults. They're really tech, a lot of these kids are very tech savvy, and they know what works and what doesn't, and they're using it all the time. So, that's,
So if Jason was aware that this presentation will be upcoming and putting in it, the product updates or product advances or something that.
And the student perspective.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I would like to see it, because I think they really do have a good handle on it.
Sure.
Sure.
They're living it
Yeah.
more than we are.
Great. Anything else under technology that anyone can think of? If not, we'll go to finance. Monitor progress of capital projects with monthly reports. I think we'll be doing that anyways, but I like a few slam dunk goals there.
Right?
How about the FEH BOCES, administrative budget and so on and so forth? Does everybody have a pretty good handle on that? So we can get rid of
Having me there is helpful.
that. And it'll be interesting with a new district superintendent as well. We may have to relook at that. Continue to actively monitor the progress of Essex County. That's just a change in wording. And then working with the CSEA union, objectify the process by which stipends are awarded. That will be through negotiations, if possible. Continue the active and progressive relationship with EdOpt. Is that necessary?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
We're using a lot, that's helped us a lot.
We are.
Yeah.
I'm just
I know we are
wondering if
doing
we
it.
need a goal for it.
That's
It's just
kind of a
because,
slam dunk.
yeah. Okay, just making sure we continue to do it. Through ad hoc committee, conduct comprehensive review of the busing program as it pertains to summer busing in St. Agnes School. I just thought I'd throw that in since
Yeah.
it's been
Absolutely.
quarterly, did we agree upon quarterly construction updates from Schoolhouse?
Putting that in there would mean that we would follow through.
Is that
Yeah.
reasonable? Quarterly?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
Because I think we have questions already about the,
Sure.
the capital project, so,
So at minimum quarterly?
yeah.
So what does that mean, we speak to them? What the updates from,
They'd come present on the construction project from a,
I'm saying how often does that mean quarterly?
Every 3 months.
Okay. Cause it's, okay, since,
Once in every 3 months, so first quarter, second quarter.
okay, I mean, I'm just curious, as when is the next one?
Well, we don't have one yet.
Okay.
so
If-
July,
If we had one, yeah,
Yeah.
July, August, by September, by the end of September.
okay, yeah,
For the third
absolutely.
quarter.
And if they're going to charge us, we'll have to come up with.
Right.
Take it out of your salary.
Yes. Any comments, questions on these?
No,
That's great. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you for your labor and time.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you for all the comments. If you want to, anything added, let us know.
That's a good first pass.
Yes. Okay.
Very good.
Okay, minutes is under consent. Personnel matters, I have several of these. Teaching staff appointments, recommended action is upon recommendation of the superintendent. Appoint Tyler Prosper, initial certification music K through 12 to the position of choral music teacher, replacing Kimberly Weems in the tenure area of music effective September 1st. 2019 for a 4-year term tentatively scheduled to conclude on August 31st, 2023. Contingent upon his completion of the probationary term and having received composite or overall APPR ratings of either effective or highly effective in at least 3 of the 4 preceding years. For the 2019-20 school year, the salary will be $44,014, step 1 BA, Willard Classic Educational Association negotiated agreement. May I have a a motion? Mr. Prosper?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff. A second?
Yes.
Thank you, Joan. Any discussion?
So he's just graduated, and he's starting his master's degree?
No, graduated last December,
Okay.
taught at Chattagay for 6 months, and has, in his 12 credits into his graduate degree.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? If not, please vote.
Big shoes to fill. Yes.
So, motion passes. Teaching staff appointment recommended action upon recommendation of the superintendent appoint Jamie Mercier, initial certification childhood education to the position of 6th grade math teacher, replacing John Burdick in the 10-year area of elementary education effective September 1st, 2019 for a 4-year term tentatively scheduled to conclude on August 31st, 2023, contingent upon her completion of probationary term and having received a composite or overall APPR rating of either effective or highly effective in at least 3 or 4 preceding years. For the 2019-2020 school year, the salary will be $44,709, Step 2 BA of the Lake Placid Education Association negotiated agreement. Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Martha. Second?
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Discussion?
What is the difference between a step 1 BA and a step 2? Is it?
Second year. So step 2 would represent the number of years of experience.
I see.
Okay. And Jamie did teach for us last year.
Oh, great.
So, yeah, so this is a permanent appointment as opposed to a long-term
I see. Okay.
substitute.
Okay.
So she's really replacing herself.
Oh, that's fine.
And this is good news. It means that she's successfully completed everything she needed to
Wonderful.
complete, and
Wonderful.
she did a great job last year.
Okay, another teaching staff appointment. Upon recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Haley Callagher, initial certification childhood education to the position of 6th grade social studies teacher, replacing Julie Weinstein in the 10-year area of elementary education effective September 1st, 2019 for a 4-year term tentatively scheduled to conclude on August 31st, 2023, contingent upon her completion of probationary term and having received composite or overall APPR ratings of either effective or highly effective in at least 3 of the 4 preceding years. For the 2019-20 school year, the salary will be $47,484. Step 2 masters plus 30 of the Lake Placid Educational Association negotiated agreement. May I have a motion on Haley, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Colleen. Second?
Yes.
Thank you, Jeff. Any discussion? If not, please vote. Great. Motion passes. Yet another teaching staff appointment. On recommendation of the superintendent, appoint Elisa Marchbank's initial certification pending in childhood education to the position of 4th grade ELA teacher, replacing Greg Fisher, who replaced Jason Leon in 3rd grade for a 4-year term tentatively scheduled to conclude on August 31st, 2023. Contingent upon her completion of probationary term and having received composite or overall APPR ratings of either effective or highly effective in at least 3 or 4 preceding years, and a rating higher than ineffective at the conclusion of the 2019-2020 school year. For the 2019-2020 school year, the salary will be at $48,189, step 1, masters plus 50 of the Lake Placid Educational Association negotiated agreement. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Colleen, second? Yes. Thank you, Dan. Discussion?
I think she's going to make a great addition to the elementary school. She just has a lot of energy, enthusiasm. just wonderfully organized, and I just think she's going to be great there. I'm excited for her.
If there are no other questions or comments, please vote. Motion carries. Long-term teaching staff appointments consent. Teaching assistant long-term appointment. Upon recommendation of the superintendent, approve Jennifer Hayes to a long-term teaching assistant at the middle and high school beginning on or about October 24th, 2019 through January 5th, 2020. Salary will be a per diem rate of $138.32 per day for the 2019-2020 school year. May I have a motion for this? Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
She'll be really good too.
Please vote. Mine didn't come up.
Does everybody vote yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Motion passes. Teaching assistant leave of absence. Upon recommendation, the superintendent approve the leave of absence of Amy Cheney Seymour, teaching assistant in the middle high school for the 2019-2020 school year. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Colleen. Second.
Yes.
Thank you, Joan. Get you next time. Any questions, comments? I take it that Jennifer is replacing Amy? Is
No.
that- No?
No.
Okay.
I won't get into who Jennifer's replacing,
That's-
it's a series of moves.
It's like a domino effect.
Yes.
Good heavens.
Motion passes 7-0. Appointment of CSEA typist. Upon recommendation of the superintendent, approve the appointment of Patricia Garrett as part-time typist at 2 hours a day for 182 days at the rate of $19.58 per hour, $7,127.12 off step for the 2019-20 school year. There are no benefits for this position. The appointment is to assist the athletic director. May I have a motion, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Joan. Second.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Discussion on this appointment?
I think you've done a great job. I mean, as a team, terrific.
Yeah.
No further comments or questions, please vote. And motion passes. That concludes all the appointments, and just a comment, it's been an extremely busy year with what I call shell game and trading teachers around, and so special thanks to Roger and all the staff who have come in and interviewed.
Many members of the staff have participated on the search teams, yes.
So we thank them for their dedication and commitment to the education systems. Next item is the special education. It's a consent. Any questions regarding next week's packet? You know, there's
Fairly long.
The 16 pages.
Yes. That's all it took was one click, and then escape. So,
I'll provide you a summary, on the board notes for that packet, just so you can see it. And if anybody does want to have a discussion in executive session, but there's students there, we can always invite, we can either do it with me, or we can invite Sarah Allen to come in for that.
okay. 8B is the change order approvals. The recommended action is whereas Lake Placid Central School District's capital project has begun, whereas it is anticipated that there would be necessary and required change orders and/or construction directives. Now therefore be it resolved, the following additional work is estimated to cover over $30,000, which requires board approval. Be it further resolved, the Board of Education hereby approves the change orders as indicated below. be it further resolved, the Board of Education President will provide final approval on the amounts to be determined. May I have a motion to approve?
Yes.
Jeff, is there a second?
Yes.
Thank you, Colleen. Any discussion on this? Is it clear as to what we're doing?
Just one question.
Sure.
Roger, with the first one there with
Crawlspace?
the crawl space, if they're gonna change the sub, I mean, that price, they're hoping it's gonna go down. So are we,
No,
No.
right,
They changed
that
it.
price is the sub, the new sub. So
okay,
the, but that would be a contracted agreement right there for this. It wouldn't be, it's not an estimate based on time and materials. The other was a much higher estimate based on time and materials without a firm price.
That's not gonna change.
No,
But the windowsills may.
the windowsills are, yes.
Okay.
There are other things that are not that firm, but that's one that is.
okay.
Yeah, does that answer your question, Dan?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that number was gonna stay where it's at, or, you know,
That one is. So in the others, the additional repairs should be fine, the large stone replacement should be fine. The additional stone construction's already been done. So some of these that are less than 30, we're not
Right.
100% sure about. And then the windowsill one is just the one that's a real big question.
The windowsill, I'll get an email out, and I always put a text out as well for those that prefer that method of communications.
If there's any of these, Roger, that are so-called still in limbo, if they come in and they are substantially higher than their original, do we have the option then to ask for an additional estimate from some other company if if it seems just that it's just out
Yeah.
of order?
Yeah, and that's actually what we did with the others, so we could use that same practice.
Okay.
Okay, nothing further, please vote. Thank you. Motion passes. Adjournment phase, next meeting is right here at 6:30 next Tuesday. Then the following September 3rd, September 17th. Old agenda topics is the St. Agnes ad hoc. Onboarding, those two did get on or will be going on the goals, so hold accountable for that. Board retreat, Thursday, August 29th, from 8 to noon.
Yes.
That will be here. Should like to get started as soon as 8 o'clock, close to 8 o'clock as possible, so there will be coffee, and I think Karen is making homemade bagels, muffins.
You're good at it, Karen. Like, ready to
But there
go.
will be
Homemade
some
smoked
light
salmon.
breakfast, so if you'd like to get here 15 minutes early or so you get that.
Maybe I'll make banana bread.
You're amazing, Karen.
New agenda topics, items? If not, recommended action is to adjourn the meeting at 8:14 p.m.
Oh, dark is getting already.
May I have a motion?
Yes.
Thank you, Martha. Second?
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you. If you do have suggestions on the goals, please, if you can get them in as soon as possible, and
So you're gonna just update the ones we did today and send it back out?
yes, yeah. And then if you want to make changes